Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the inaugural session of Inspired SME. Are you ready to be inspired?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. So, first up is our first speaker, Sharimaton Matsaleh. She is Deputy CEO at Martrade, Deputy Chief Executive Officer 2 of Exporters Development. She has a lot of experience in the field of international trade, including a stint as Commissioner of Trade in Los Angeles. So, first up, please welcome Ms. Sharimaton Matsaleh.
Thank you. So, Assalamualaikum and very good evening. How's everybody today?
Right.
Not tired after a long day at work?
No.
And inspired, I hope.
Yes.
And hopefully I can inspire you even more to export, because that's what the whole DNA of Martrade is. We exist to assist SMEs in exporting. So my main session today will be talking about probably some of the myths of exporting and what we do in Martrade and how for you to be engaged with Martrade. But perhaps I should start with a show of hands. How many of you have heard of Martrade before? Preaching to the converted. So I think only one or two, and probably they are just being Malaysians and shy to raise their hands. So I take it that many of you are familiar with Martrade. But okay, again, how many of you are Martrade member? Okay, so then that's probably the gap. This is quite normal. Just last week we had this event with the Star. How many of you were there? The think tank.
Yeah.
Okay, satu. Okay. Well, on the good, on a positive note, then you won't be, it won't be a deja vu. It's a repeat of what I said. But because the main thing that I spoke about is also about the importance of export for SMEs and how for SMEs to get on board Martrade, and how we can assist you in your export journey to make it a less painful or a more successful journey, so that you can really become what I said as not jago kampung, but then you can be jago ASEAN, you can be jago global, and then the whole world is your market. So basically, just to understand what we do in Martrade, we are an agency under MITI, which is the Ministry of International Trade. So, and probably to many of you will come across when I say MITI or government, very bureaucratic lah. Ni mesti borang like 10,000 forms or something like that just to get, 500. I like to say it's not like that, but there are still some procedures and guidelines, as we all know that we are government funded. We are basically just like any other government agency in terms of our remuneration and all that. But we like to really differentiate ourselves in this sense that we do all this outreach, and we do think that we are quite close to the industry, that we are quite close to the people on the ground. And like in Malaysia, according to the last SSM numbers, the number of companies registered in Malaysia, that's 900,000 odd, almost 1 million already. So how many of this close to 1 million are exporting? Any guess?
10%.
10%? Okay. Sikit up lah. It's actually 17 plus. So small. So who is it that exporting? Majority of it is our multinationals, our Intel, our Dells, and all that. So yes, when you are an SME and if you're selling to all these companies and they are located in a free trade zone, it is actually in custom definition deemed as export. But we all can probably agree that the linkages is not so strong. The reason why they located those days, actually, for Intel, for example, is very good, because Malaysia or Penang, the first location, was their first overseas investment ever. Since the beginning of Intel, they chose Malaysia, they chose Penang to locate. But how come they have not really engaged the SMEs to be their suppliers, to be their partners and so on? So that's a question that we now are also questioning ourselves within the ministry, providing feedback and having dialogues on speaking to companies, associations, to hopefully change many of this. Okay, but okay, I'm not gonna start on the problem. But we go back to the percentage, yeah, and we're targeting, about 17% only are exporting. So can you imagine, of the close to 1 million, only 22,000 are matric members. So I'm not surprised that only 2 raised their hand lah, because 22,000 out of 1 million. So that's a small number. That's like a drip in the ocean. And it's not like when you're a matric member, you have to be already like big exporter, then only you register as a matric. There are many reasons why we think the benefits of being a matric member. First of all, we do a lot of trainings, we do a lot of outreach like this. We have 5 offices around Malaysia, Sabah, Sarawak, Penang, Johor, and Kuala Terengganu. So we engage with the associations, with the chambers of commerce, and so on. So once you're a matric member, for one thing, your profile will be in our website, in our portal. And whenever we have buyers coming in, foreign buyers, that normally we identify, and the TC or the Trade Commissioner overseas will persuade these buyers to come, you'll be in our database. So when people search, or when we search of suitable product that matches what the buyers want, voila, we'll be inviting you to meet up with this foreign buyer. So you don't even have to buy a flight ticket to be connected to a foreign buyer. And it's not easy, right? It's not easy to meet up with buyers in Malaysia, what more in overseas. But that's what part of what we do. We connect you with overseas buyers. We do business matching sessions. We look at different events where you can do your export promotion. And of course, the nature of Malaysian SMEs, we still need some nudge, some incentives. And the favorite word for SMEs, I think, is probably grant, right? So, and that's actually part of what I do in exporters development. If you want to think of market, if we cut it, slice it into, okay, we take away, let's say, our internal admin people. We have one group, so the internal people that looks after our basic admin. Then one group look at the strategy, and this we have built up over the years because we need to continuously ask ourselves whether we are relevant, how to make us more relevant, how do we correct, how do we right the wrong, and so on. So, and then we have what I look after, exporters development. So within this exporters development, we do seminars, trainings, and these seminars and trainings can probably just be like an outreach like this, which is just a general speaking to you about what market is, so that you don't be so scared of market, so that you can come to our events, be our member and participate. And then once you're a market member, then also you can avail yourself to many of the grants. So one of the most favorite grant is, of course, the market development grant. This is where you go for any export promotion activity in a B2B. Don't say any, it must be B2B. If you participate, you build a booth. Of course, there's expenditures like hotel, the cost of buying that space, and your airfare. So if you qualify, portion of that you can claim under energy. So that's an incentive for the products. Then we have another incentive for services. Some of you may be in IT, in architecture, in professional business, surveyor, whatever have you, that's in the services line. There's also a fund for services export, so that's called Services Export Fund. And our latest, or not latest, we've been doing this since 2014, but one of the, I would say in this day and age, most sought after assistance is our e-trade. This is where you can avail yourself of some incentives amounting up to 5,000 ringgit if you register yourself in a B2B or B2C portal that does cross-border. Not Lazada, because when I say it just probably Lazada will come to people's mind right away. Lazada so far is not yet cross-border. So there are like berapa? 16 marketplaces that we work with. Of course, among them the B2B, the big name will be Alibaba. But the latest one for B2C is Facebook Havana, which is a new concept to many of us. Many Malaysians are on Facebook, but you do it for social reason. But with Havana being the middle, we're bringing social to commerce. So it's social commerce. So if you under this program, you can avail yourself for the incentive, because besides just the listing fees, normally all these marketplaces will train you, because it's not just, it's like if you're a retailer, you just put your products there and you don't do anything, will people come? Probably not, right? You have to do promotion. You have to learn how to do, how to market. So all this training, there's a cost to it. So the cost of the training is also borne by this program. So I'd like to introduce my colleagues to you. Anwar, he looks after the e-trade program. So he's the person that you should find for detailed questions. We have Raisa. I'll be ending shortly. GoX is a customized program. That means we look at each company individually, and once you're accepted, there are some expenses that you can get, you can claim, and one of it is, let's say, to hire a market maker, which is, let's say, a person in the market that can connect you to the people there, or the cost of sending some of your sample, cost of business meeting after you participate in trade fair, and then there's business meeting you want to follow up. So that's the GoX program for SMEs. Once you've grown a bit larger, that's where Ismail comes in. Ismail looks after the mid-tier program. So I heard that many of you, some of you are already in the SME 100, so your revenue probably run in a million. So if you're already a services company, your revenue is 20 million and you're growing positively, you can be under this program. Or if you are manufacturer, 50 million. And from it, you get a customized intervention from the best third party, i.e. consultant, that can help you really identify, look at your strategy, prioritize your market, are you doing it right in terms of export, and so on. So apart from that, we have our export promotion side of market. This is where we bring companies overseas in different sectors, and we bring delegations, trade fair, specialized acceleration mission, and so on. So I hope I have inspired some of you at least, or at least create a spark of interest for you to find out more about Madrid. Do look us up. We are in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, as well as through email, and we are in Jalan Tetan, not so far from here, and come and talk to us, and hopefully we'll be able to assist you in your sport journey. And I wish you all the best for all your future endeavors, and hopefully I can see some Jago, besides just Jago Kampung, the Jago Global from this room. So thank you so much.
Hi, thank you. It's good to stand before you and have I would prefer it to be a dialogue, right? Since it appears like it's going to be a 10-minute monologue. Let me just give a short 20-second brief introduction of myself. Firdaus from ISIS Malaysia. You may not heard of ISIS Malaysia before, but you may have heard of ISIS. We do not have a branch in Syria. But someday we might have to
if we, if it happens. Is the mic true?
No.
I'm going to talk about three things today. One, well, the larger economy or larger perspective of the Malaysian economy since the day we reached independence up to perhaps today. It's more of a context of what, why, and how. Okay, let me just start by saying this. Today, the country that I live in is not the same as how I imagined it to be. We have become more jingoistic, more nationalistic in a way, in how we project our policies, economic policies, since Merdeka. We have becoming more myopic in our view in terms of formulating our economic policy. And when we do come up with economic policy, it happens more often than not. They tend to be more ephemeral, very short term. We look at 5 years, but actually it's not even 5 years because things don't happen within that 5 year term. Okay, let me tell you what exactly happened. So, I assume many of you are Malaysians.
Yes.
I assume many of you have learned a lot about how the economy developed over the years. But when we reached independence, there was no clear incentive for us to nationalize many of the industries that we have in Malaysia. So you've heard of companies such as Dunlop, Sandabi, Golden Hope, Bo Plantation. These companies are all British owned. So since they are all owned by the British, there was an incentive. British, they had clear incentive to ensure that their interests, their international business interests are all very much contained. So, the development of the Malaysian economy since Merdeka over the years has to be more global in terms of its outlook. So, from Malaysia's perspective, what happened was that we introduced quite a number of economic policies that is in line with international standards. So we came up with MIDA in 1967, if I remember correctly. And then we introduced free trade zones, starting from Hokkien and all that, and Penang later. And then all of that centered to one goal, was just to internationalize Malaysia. So that really helped Malaysia to break away from the economy that we had earlier, which is very agriculture-based, plantation, which most of these companies are based on anyway, like rubber, tin mining, etc. So, but in the 80s, what happened was that we thought of having an economic policy that was very much nationalistic in a view. So we nationalized many of these companies, starting from the Dawn Red, the Guthrie, and then later with others as well. So over the years, many of these international companies became Malaysian owned. Okay, so there's a need for us to have more of a protectionist kind of outlook when it comes to having an economic policy. And then it somehow embedded with the fact that we came up with our own heavy industry in the 80s, where an industry that we have no particular technical know-how in. In fact, we did not even have the financial capacity to even fund many of these projects, but we had to do it anyway. So what happened then? The landscape of the economy of Malaysia changed tremendously. Okay, so we started with a plantation-based economy, and then we changed to more of a heavy industry outlook. So if you look at the percentage of GDP component of our GDP from agriculture to manufacturing, it's actually almost a mirror image of the other. It's actually came to a reverse. So you see, agriculture goes down, and then manufacturing goes up. But the Asian financial crisis changed many things. So one of the many things is that we, instead of us ensuring that many of these companies, many of our industries continue to be global or international, what happened is that we even suppress them further. Okay, so instead of us pushing them, okay, let's go out, get out. You know, the world is your oyster. But instead of doing that, we say no. We have to contain them even further. You know, so you know it's like a parent having a very protective baby. You know, so that what exactly happened. So you know when series of disruptions happen at a global scale, and the opening up of China, you know, when the WTO, World Trade Organization, became very much lessened in terms of importance over the years, because countries could continue going directly with another trade partner instead of going on a plurilateral or group basis. That lessened the importance of our economic policy. More often than not, when we contract or we suppress them from the global economy, what happened was that, you know, our wages also were suppressed over the years. So, see, what I said, I see some people nodding when I say the word wages. But then you get what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that this is actually what happened, but there were not many people, you know, go out there and tell this kind of story, because there is a need for someone out there, whoever that person is, to tell this story. Okay. So that's one thing. So I've mentioned the China effect. When China opened up, suddenly the world factory just centered into one global geographical area, which is, you know, in East Asia. So what happened was that because of the opening up China, the global investment, China became the vacuum cleaner of investment of investors. Then because of that, they opened up to the world, and then they became the factory of the world. Okay, and then when I also mentioned the WTO, countries go on FTAs. So many of these things actually lessen the importance of having a top-down economic policy. So the question is that whether should Malaysia come up with another form of top-down economic policy. So the thing is, in the case of Malaysia, we have two options. One, we have a top-down economic policy, but we top down to protect them even further away from the global economy. Or we have a top down economic policy that push companies away and to go global. So the way I see it in the past is that we continue to do the latter and not the former. But you know, there's a lot of resistance coming from businesses because they are not entirely confident about going abroad, because many businesses today, especially in Malaysia, are more comfortable doing business among ourselves because there's a factor of familiarity, confidence, business confidence, etc., rather than anything else. So but when we want to push people outside to go global, which Madrid is doing, there's a clear resistance coming from the business economy, business community. The reason why I say this is because I undertook a study done, which is sanctioned by the cabinet in 2013 up to 2015. Well, actually late of 2016. So what happened was that the study was to understand what's the impact like Malaysia's participation in the Trans-Pacific Partnership. So I had to go down and interview business leaders, big companies, and more often than not, they would prefer to have a status quo perspective. So what actually happened is that we do not have a clear incentive to be pushed outside. And perhaps that's the reason why we have 70% members of Madrid. Perhaps that's the reason why over the years, if you think about it from a statistical point of view, although our trade numbers has gone up over the years, the level of our international trade today, okay, compared, is actually at the 1988 level, which means that for every single dollar that we export abroad, you know, it's actually the same as in 1988. It has actually gone down since 2001. But you can't see this from the number, because the number just tell you an aggregate number. Oh, okay, the government is actually having a trade surplus and all that. But if you look closer to the value added component, which means the value of export compared to the value of intermediary, which is actually quite practical, you would find that we are producing less profit per ringgit that we produce, and that's something that is quite troubling at least in my perspective, because we have to continue ensuring our businesses to make more profit. I would prefer to have a personal engagement if you prefer to have that. But thank you for listening to my talk. Thank you so much.
All right, up next is Mr. Taufik Iskandar Jamingan, CEO of VCap Asset Managers. He specializes in investment, equity, and corporate strategy, focusing on long-term returns on investment. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Taufik Iskandar Jamingan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks to the host for inviting me to speak today. In fact, I was actually very much puzzled by the invitation to speak to SMEs as well as startups. But let me share with you some background about VCap Asset Managers. We are managing about 5.5 billion ringgit, mostly in local market. And our parent company is ValueCap, which currently managing about 6 billion prop fund to stabilize the local equity market. So in total, the group has about 12 billion to manage. My company actually managing third-party business. Most of them are pension funds, endowment funds, some state funds, some high net worth individuals through our two wholesale funds. I just want to share with you, I think the reason why Jason called me and asked me to speak, I was asked to deliver 2 points. One is on sustainable investing, and secondly on my approach to investing. Certainly you wouldn't expect someone like me, not that I look very young, but just to share with you, I'm actually about 33 years old. I was actually given a promotion, a big promotion when I was 28 to manage a small asset management company in London. We're managing a few, about 600 million pounds at a time. We started with 100 million pounds and we managed to grow within 4 years to 600 million pounds. Again, it's possible, but not because of me, but we were just lucky. The fund injection was in 2012, and at the time, people thought UK market was toying with double-dip recession. We read the market right, it was not double-dip recession. We purchased a lot of assets at good bargain. We started diversifying into European equities in 2014 when people thought UK was on the brink of collapse. And we started investing in September 2014. Boom, December 2014, they decided to embark on quantitative easing. And asset prices just, shot through the roof. So we were lucky that. When I was 31, when I was 31, I think you could hear me.
Yes.
Right. So when I was 31, there was an opportunity to come back. So I was offered to be the head and director of equity for Quad, which is Kumpulan Wang Amanah Persaraan Diperpadankan. Very much famous because of the SRC saga, but trust me, I'm actually lucky to be called back. That was about late 2016. Market was in 3 years consecutively in negative territory. So when I came back, that was an opportunity to restructure the portfolio, the equity investment, and Quad was the pioneer and the champion within the local institutional investors space of sustainable investing. They started talking about ESG as early as 2015, and when it's 2017, they promoted sustainable investing. So I was actually very much passionate about two things in life. One is youth, another one is sustainable There are two reasons, professional as well as personal. Personal is because I believe with a sense of purpose and balance, you can realize your true potential. I am a product of someone giving me a leap of faith, and I would like to give that to someone else too. And if you have that sense of purpose, you realize whatever you do now is actually about harnessing future potential. There is no limit to what you can do. When I came back, people thought 31 years old, heading a department for GLC, managing 62 billion ringgit, it was impossible. Everyone looked at me, what was so surprised about this guy. The essence is not, it's just focus and purpose. If you are sincere about what you do, I think God will reward it. So I will talk about sustainable in life at later part of my talk. But firstly, on sustainable investing, there is a professional reason behind why I'm passionate about sustainable investing. Again, sustainable investing is a simple concept. It's less complicated than you think, but it's far more important than you could ever imagine. If you look at textbooks, sustainable investing is just incorporating ESG, environment, social, and governance factors into your investment analysis and portfolio construction. You've heard about sustainable growth, you heard about sustainable inclusive growth. The point is, whatever you do now, when you chase short-term growth, you will not actually sacrifice the needs of future generation. As simple as such. When it comes to investing, in order for you to realize short-term gains, you will not kill future long-term returns of your investment. As simple as such. So that is what I meant by sustainable investing, or that's what is meant by sustainable growth. 2007 financial crisis is a very defining moment in our life. I mean, I am too young to experience what happened in 1987. Even though I keep talking about 1987 because, we have the same players in the local market. We have Tun Daim, Tun Mahathir, and Anwar making a comeback. This is like, a perfect 1987 story. But anyway, 2007 is very important because the response to the crisis actually will determine the next course of the history of our generation. I'll tell you why. Why do we have a change of government? This is just my view of looking at things. I've written about this, about what happened in Europe in 2014. I remember the title of my article then, which was published, I think, in Financial Times, is it's not what you see, it's what you look at when it comes to an issue. At the time, they talk about the rise of populism. People don't understand it. Since 2008, those with capital reap the benefits of the crisis, the aftermath of the crisis. But yet, we've seen low interest rate, low wage growth, and the possibility of social mobility is slipping and further away. People feel disenchanted, there's huge anxiety in the society. What we have, boom, populism. Well, now we have Trump, in Malaysia we're lucky, we have the Pakatan Harapan government. It's because three things were not addressed. I'm not talking about environmental issues here, that's an issue very much close to Europe. It's the social-economic issues that we don't address, the social inequality. So when the Prime Minister talked about you need to cap the CEO's salary at 40,000, people, oh my God, I don't understand this. It is about social inequality. We talked about growth, 5.5%, now it's about 4.9%. But the distribution aspect of the growth is not felt. And that's a real issue. Why it is an issue? When you have a big social gap, you actually kill the potential of the economy. Because people like you, the bottom 80% are the one that determines the consumption of the economy. The bottom 40 and the mid 40, if you don't understand what 80% are that. That is exactly the heart of the economy, the top 20%. And we all know that. And I think they will address it. So we will have a painful budget come November 2nd. Because they will talk about more taxes. They will not increase your income tax because they know they will hit the M40. What they will think about is capital gain tax, inheritance tax, a few innovative tax, sinful tax. Because this will certainly, put the focus away from the top 20 to the bottom 80. And that is about distribution aspect of the economy. It's all about socio-economic issues. And that is S part. How about the G part? One MBB is just an embodiment of total, I couldn't find a better word, but total lack, disregard of governance in the country. I mean, I'm not a politician, but you know what I mean. Yeah, and that happens in the US as well. What really drove people to Trump is because they feel disenchanted. Again, the issue of socio-economic issues being not addressed. We don't feel the effects of globalization. That's what, if you ask me whether Trump was right or wrong, Trump was this opportunist, foreseeing one of the most profound drivers of recent time, which is sustainability. In Davos, they talk about sustainable growth. Anywhere they talk about sustainable growth. In United Nations recently, they talk about sustainable development. Is because essentially the future of this generation depends on how you address this issue. And so it does for financial market as well. We talk about Trump talking about, can we get away from quarterly presentations of earnings to semi-annually or annually? Why? It's because to move us away from short-termism to long-termism. He's not that stupid, he's quite smart. So that we will move towards looking at the long-term aspect rather than short-term. The concept of ROE, return on equity, return on shareholders, is very much 1980s, popularized by Jack Welch. It's time for us to look at return on stakeholders. In order for us to give the return on shareholders in the form of ROE and net profit, we also cannot sacrifice the return on stakeholder, what we call societal impact of our investment. So, again, that is what we're trying to do. In simplest terms, we're moving away from return on shareholders to return on stakeholders. So, sustainable investing is key. The second part of my talk, I'm very mindful that I have only 10 minutes to speak, and I'm pretty much sure that you guys have other things to do on Tuesday evening. But coming back to my philosophy, I think when Jason told me, I said, I don't know what to talk. You guys are smart ones. You guys spot the opportunities in startups. I am very, very much a champion of venture capitalism. I think yesterday, Lim Guan Eng was it Lim Guan Eng? I think so. In Hazana Megatrend talked about entrepreneurial state. This is a Mazzucato's term. I love how recent politicians they talk big things. Entrepreneurial state is exactly what the US did to champion venture capitalism. The state drives people like you guys to invest when the state cannot invest. So you'll see that sustainable investing, in my philosophy, is very simple. It's find the balance. I like reading. I mean, I think Jason read some of the articles I think the Age covered about me. I love reading. Everything is important. We invested in carrying Gucci is because we see some form of how smart Alexander Michel, the chief creative of Gucci, understanding the dynamics of key important demographic, i.e. millennials. We are no longer minimalism. We hate what Japan, espoused to do. We love exhibitionists. That's what exactly they did. Why? Because the company read the trends of the consumer well. It's all about putting the stakeholders first. How about Nike? You see the shoes very light. They're using recyclable items. They're using chloroform, styrofoam, sorry. I mean, if you look at the shoes, I'm speaking this person, but not today. But because they use environment as a source, environment issue as a source of innovation. We look at Pepsi, we look at Coke. Why did they buy a company in Israel producing soda drinks where you can put flavors? Because they know people will move away from sugary drinks. This is all innovation, taking into account social aspect as a source of innovation. What are some of the famous innovation or recent companies that you come across? Autonomous vehicles, Grab, and I'm pretty sure. We talk about car sharing in 1990s when I was like toddler. Isn't that striving social issues, which is congestion and urbanization? And use this ESG as a source of innovation. I love reading, and I make sense of it. I keep asking people why there must be 2 Starbucks in the same road and not 3. There must be a reason. My job as investor is to make sure that a company, a good company, is a company that really has a sound valid strategies. And that sound valid strategies can be found in a company that considers ESG. You talked about diversity as a source of good decision making. Isn't that good to have women on the board? I mean, balance with the risk-taking of the men, with much conservative approach of the ladies. Isn't that good to have more independence? Because technically, independent director will turn out to board meeting more so than the executive director because they have so many type of commitments. That in itself is common sense, you know. So all of these are actually meant for a source of innovation. Okay, I don't want to take so much of your time. You can talk to me. Not that I'm a good speaker, but feel free to reach out. Thank you very much for your time.
When Jason called me and he asked me to speak something inspiring, I was figuring out, even up to this morning, what inspiring thing to say. So I'm nothing much inspiring, but I would say, since it's the SME forum, I'll speak a bit about my experience working in SME in America. A bit about myself, I'm Kiran. I'm heading the Ipsos Business Consulting Division in Malaysia and Philippines. So what we do in Ipsos is actually we help companies build, compete, and grow. So that means we work with the likes of Madrid, we work with the likes of many companies to grow domestically or to export. So the industries we cover, it could be from agriculture, publishing, automotive, construction, and so on. So we have worked with helping Malaysian companies to go to remote areas, even to Mongolia and so on. So I'll not say much about Ipsos. I'll say something about myself and so on. As when Jason was saying, say something inspiring about yourself. Hopefully you can share with the floor some things about yourself and so on, right? So I was thinking this morning, what is something inspiring about myself? There's nothing really much. But what I realized as well was doing some brainstorming is that I realized over the years, whenever I switch job from one job to the next job, I've never moved to the same industry or do the same profession. So I started my career as in manufacturing as an engineer. I left that job after 5 years, went to Los Angeles in a different field altogether, and then I went to Europe again in a different field and so on. But it is in Los Angeles where I got my first experience working in SME. First time working in SME from a multinational. And it was a bit interesting on how I got a position. When I went to Los Angeles, I wanted to do something different than what's happening in Malaysia. So I looked at aerospace. Los Angeles is known for the aerospace industry and so on. And I told myself, I'm going to work in the aerospace industry. So I applied jobs in Boeing, Lockheed Martin, even NASA. Nobody responded to my CVs and so on. Except one SME company, for whatever reason, they took my CV and invited me for an interview. So I had an interview with a chief technical engineer, and we decided to have a dinner. So he asked me during the interview, tell me about your experience in aerospace engineering. I said, 0, I have no experience in solar. Then he was like, Then he looked into my CV, he realized that he was given wrong information. So he said, okay, tell me more about your experience about Malaysian aerospace industry. Those days there was nothing at all whatsoever. I said 0. So there was an awkward silence for like about 30 seconds, but since it was dinner, we already ordered food. He had no choice but to spend the next 30 minutes with me to order the food and so on, right? So we got talking and so on. And he started asking me about myself and so on, asking me about why I'm coming to America. So I told him I will do something bigger and better than what I was doing in Malaysia and so on. And he being a Cuban refugee from Fidel Castro, he felt a certain sense of empathy for me. He said, this guy, I know where you're coming from because I was also a refugee. I was not a refugee, but he was a Fidel Castro. And he said, you know what, I'm going to take a bet on you. I'm not going to make a decision. I'm going to send your CV to the CEO to make a decision. So it was an SME company, right? So I went to meet the CEO a few days later, and again had an appointment with him at 6 p.m. And he was a Chinese American, one of these crazy rich Asians and so on based in the US. So we had several appointments at 6, but as a CEO, you sometimes delay and so on. So it was about almost 8. I was waiting in the lobby with my bag and so on. And he said, yeah, well, let's go for dinner. And he brought his son. His son was also working there as a SME company and so on. And fortunately or unfortunately, his son had a new girlfriend, an American girl, with full of tattoos and so on. And the dad was kind of pissed off because he was still, although he's American born and bred in San Francisco, he still had his Asian values in him. And he was kind of pissed off his son bringing an American girl with tattoos and so on. So he asked me, Karen, you're from Asia, right? I said, yeah. There's a lot of Asian girls in there, right? I said, yeah, there's a lot of Asian girls. So he said, maybe we should open up a branch in Asia and we can get my son to be posted there. I said, yeah, that'd be great. So I think he was trying to get his son away from his girlfriend in Los Angeles to get me to set up a branch in Hong Kong, whatever. I said, what about Malaysia? There's a lot of Chinese there also, right? I said, yeah, that's not a bad idea. So I set up a business trip. I said, but I'm not an employee yet. Oh, yeah, I said, yeah, that's true. He said, now I meet the HR manager. So I met the HR manager a few days later, again during lunch. And that guy was about 70 years old. And he was a Vietnam War veteran. And he was excited to finally meet someone from Malaysia because since Vietnam War, he has to come back to Malaysia. Because those days when you were based in Da Nang and so on, for weekend retreats, they come to Kota Baru, Terengganu and so on, right? So he was excited to finally meet someone from Southeast Asia, and he was telling me how he enjoyed his time in Malaysia and so on. I assume he had a girlfriend in Malaysia, that's why he started missing as well. So again, we didn't talk about my technical knowledge and so on. And he said, okay, whatever, I'll sign the papers, join the company. And when I joined the company, I had zero experience about aerospace. Zero. And everybody was asking me, what are you going to do and so on. My friends were asking me and so on. But what I learned is that it's not rocket science. Although aerospace is rocket science, but it's not rocket science. Because if you have fundamentals of engineering and so on, it is actually, you can learn about it and so on, right? So that's the thing. But what I learned, what I want to share with you in the inspiring story is that they knew my background, the company and the colleagues, the bosses and so on knew my background and so on. And they kind of took me under their wings, coached me, gave me all the guidance necessary, even paid for my MBA to some extent and so on. And I felt a certain sense of belonging in the company and so on, being the only Malaysian there and so on. And I felt that the values which they imparted to me as an SME and so on is a value which I still hold true in here today. I remember, as an SME, cash flow is a problem. Sometimes businesses go up and down and so on. And the owner itself, he must have spoken to his finance manager and said that cash flow is a problem. He actually went to mortgage his house. And he didn't tell anyone. He still kept paying our salary and so on. He still took care of us as one of his team members and so on. And that sense of loyalty and that sense of I guess thinking about your colleagues and so on is something has touched me since those days. And I'll try my best to impart this kind of values to anywhere I work also. So everybody asks me, you always tell yourself the story about how you got a job. What about why you left and what actually happened, right? Why you came back to Malaysia? Well, 9/11 happened. 9/11 happened, and then what happened? Because I was working in an aerospace company, and some of the satellites we were producing were black box satellites. So that means they were used by the Taman defense, and they were spy satellites. And I remember we used to visit some of our clients, Department of Defense clients and so on. And after 9/11, me still having a Malaysian passport and coming from a Muslim country, everybody was worried. And I remember I was going to a meeting, and those days they had extra security to know who exactly is coming in. And everybody, all my colleagues, there were 10 of us, all had clearance except me. Big badge, grade 1, non-US citizen. And I was like a target behind my back. Everybody's looking at me like non-US citizen. So that doesn't matter. So we went for a meeting, and then during lunch, I wanted to go to the washroom. I asked my host, "Can I go to the washroom?" He said, "Yeah, fine." He followed me to the washroom, right? He should. I said, okay, I think I know where is it. He said, I follow you. So we went to the urinal. Then he was behind me again. I said, okay. Then it was kind of awkward, right? He was like looking at me, I was looking at him in the urinal and so on. He said, sorry, Kiran, new policies, I gotta keep eye contact with you at all times. Even at all times. And he said, thank God you're only doing number 1, not number 2. Otherwise it's kind of awkward. And I was thinking, okay. So then I came out and it was kind of awkward, right? And then we were bidding for new projects again with Department of Defense and so on. Again, you want to know who's who in charge, and you know there's a ranking and a rating system and so on. And as we were filling in and we were pitching in and working on the pitch for 2 weeks, trying to get the costing right, trying to get everything right and so on, I realized that with my name there, being a non-US citizen, perhaps it might give a slightly negative weightage to this company, because all the other companies we're competing with which we know were friendly competitors, did not have someone like me. And I told my boss, who's the owner, you know what, take my name off, I'll resign. And he said, no way, you're part and parcel of the team, you help us grow the business and so on, and I will not let this small matter affect how we do business. Again, the value system and so on. They said, yeah, don't worry about it. We win, we lose, and so on. But somehow the feeling which I had that they gave me a chance before, and I don't want it to be a downfall for them. So I resigned and I came back. And I think the experience I had working in the SME in Los Angeles, I assume I'm not working in SME in Malaysia, but I assume the value systems, if the SMEs in Malaysia also have the same value systems and so on, I think it will bode well for the growth of the SMEs in Malaysia, because for one thing, attrition rate was very low in that company. Nobody was harping about the wages because everybody knew that, there are good days, there are bad days, and so on. Good times and bad times. So wages was not an issue. Even though we had companies who were calling us, joiners and so on. We pay you 10-20% more. I think that was not an issue at the company. And I think the customers itself, when you walk, when customers they do their due diligence, they have a certain sense of feeling when they walk with a company that these guys. The strength and the value system of the company itself was very much intact, and I think that was actually we were known as the good guys. And I think, and to some extent, at least for the qualitative assessment of winning projects and so on, I think it worked well for the company. So I'm not sure it was inspiring, but it was something more personal compared to some macroeconomic numbers and so on, which I actually learned a lot today. Feel free to connect with me at any time. And over to the next speaker.
Assalamualaikum. A bit challenging actually dapat talk at this time because usually people are rushing going back, but we have to attend. But never mind. Some sharing, some input. Maybe you can share this knowledge to other colleagues that they can't attend this event. So before I start, I think I need some energy from you guys. Can or not?
Can.
Okay. How many of you have Maybank account? Company Maybank account. How many of you have facility with Maybank? Facility with Maybank.
What do you mean by
1, 2,
facility?
3. I mean, company facility. 1, 2. Okay, at least something. Okay, my questions. Although you tak ada account with Maybank, never mind. My question is very simple. You know what is a Maybank mascot?
Yeah.
What is that?
Tiger.
Tapi that one too easy, right? Not that one. I want to ask, dia female or male? Male or female?
Female.
Why is female? Why? Is that the reason, right? Why? Because you are female, then you choose the tiger should be female.
Women are better investors compared with men.
Pardon?
Women are better investor compared to men.
Almost. Tapi bolehlah kita bagi some hadiah. Ada hadiah. This gentleman almost bagi, so kita bagi some gift, some token. Okay, maybe another try. Why you said that woman lagi pandai investment?
Because I read Warren Buffett's book, Invest Like a Girl.
Anyone? Last one? Siapa cakap tadi? No? Almost juga the answer. Resilient. Almost?
Women shun risk more than men.
Okay lah, jawapan tu hampir tepat semua. Actually why? Because woman, dia boleh beranak. Itu je. Sebab, you letak duit dekat Maybank, duit you akan beranak.
Dividend.
Itu je. That's why kita kena pilih female tiger. Those days when I go for seminar, they said should be female because fierce. Control the money. True lah. To the SME true lah. Right? Okay. That's the iklan sekejap. Okay, what I share today, usually, right? So when Maybank is here, what is your expectation? What you want to know?
QR pay.
Borrow money. True, right? Borrow money. Then next question, I dah pergi Maybank, my loan been rejected. Betul?
Yes.
Piece off. Then pergi kat bank merah,
CIMB.
bank biru, bank putih, whatever colour lah. Beside the yellow one, right?
Red color.
Betul. Okay, here I want to share why is it happen. Kita tak nak find whose fault or whose mistake, but we try to overcome. What is the mistake that you or we did? Okay? Okay, usually there's 5 things. Jom, I kena tengok my phone sebab ada info dalam phone supaya I tak left out the information. Okay, this information is actually not only from Maybank, but actually is from Bank Negara. We compile it, then we just share with the SMEs. Okay, there are 6 common challenges facing by SMEs. The first one, guess?
No money.
No money. Of course, no money, borrow money lah. The first one is incomplete document. That is common. Okay, usually bank will ask about audited account, bank statement, M&A 24. That one usually you will have campus secretary will keep it, right? But audited account. So bank usually will take roughly, let's say now 2018. The most is management account 2017. That's the most. Alright, if you got the audited, good enough. Okay, now banks, most of the bank can take management account as consideration for financing. Okay, next is financial record not up to date. Sama juga lah. When we ask about the audited account, I got only 2016. Then we can't see the history of your track record, your company's positions, current position. We can't say current position lah. At least we can see that what is your previous track record. Maybe 2016 you gain a lot of profit, but 2017 lost. Dah. Bukan to the bank kita tak nak give loan to those lost company, case to case basis, but we have to see the actual performance of the company. Alright. The third one is weak in financial management or discipline. Okay, usually what we advise is you as a director of the company, you must know well of your financial. Where's the money go and in, meaning your cash flow. So don't trust 100% on your financial controller. If this is a small SMEs lah, okay, you must know well when you have to pay the bills, utilities, salaries, and etc. But now Maybanks kita ada a lot of electronic punya friendly. So later I think I will share some of the product. Okay. Next is lack in business succession plan. This happen to those usually sole prop company, sole proprietor does not only have a succession plan. Usually grandfather akan bagi dekat father dan anak, cucu dan sebagainya. But this happen, father no child yang nak ambil the business. child dia mungkin a lawyer, belajar lawyer, takkan nak ambil the business, right? True?
Yeah.
Mungkin dia nak open a law firm. So dekat situ tak ada succession plan. So this one you must take care and you must take note if you are open a business. Alright. Sendirian berhad, I think no issue if you got partners. Next is unsatisfactory business conditions. When we talk about unsatisfactory business conditions, not only of your business, it's a surrounding of the economic, the industry that you're involved in. Certain banks, they really look into what industry you are in. Okay, dia orang kata a bit not really speculative but selective. Some industry that Maybank may not want to joint venture, right? Okay, but case to case basis. Okay, example, last time we heard about oil and gas, right? That industry not so good, not so bad, but Maybank not really into that industry at that particular moment. But now I think Maybank already not really orang kata not going for oil and gas. But it depends on what type of nature of business. It come back on your NOB. Alright, last one is repayment capability. This is very important. Why? First thing first that bank will look at is your repayment ability, whether you're able to pay or not. How to calculate it? Simple. You take your profit, divide by your commitment. If positive, then you can borrow. So you can calculate rough figure, what amount for the tenure, etc. You can calculate it yourself, right? Okay. Next point, I would like to share on 12 ways you could be hurting your credit score. Okay, the first one is late payment. Please use SI. You know what is SI?
Standing instructions.
Good, tapi tak ada hadiah, sorry. Okay, standing instruction. Next is hard identification card replacement. Dah, kenapa pula? Why? Because, this one, dia kata, we look into, bila you tukar your punya IC, sometimes this person, dia akan tukar address. You change too many address, it will lead to fraud. Fraud. Kan, today you kata rumah you dekat TTDI, condominium. Then next 6 months tukar address dekat flat TTDI pula. Alamak. So suspicious, kita boleh detect fraud. So jangan get banks get you in court. Alright, in this situation. Next is unpaid summon. I think this one very clear. High credit card utilization. Guna salah, tak guna salah. Susah betul lah banking. So dia ada ratio. So comfort ratio usually at 70%. 70% utilization. Alright. But if let's say your utilization card 80%, 90%, but for business use, okay. We can justify saying that this director using this money for business purpose. Therefore, you need the money. Betul tak? Betul tak? Betul. Macam tak betul. Betul Alright. Next is too many credit card. Pun masalah. Masalah kan? Usually kita nak spread the risk, kita ambil at least 3 cards. At least 3 cards from 3 other color banks lah. Bisa yellow must be the first one. So next one you choose lah, biru ke, kuning ke, putih ke, biru ke, merah ke, it's up to you. But first one should be yellow lah, right? We do have a business commercial card, you know that? No, tak tahu. Tahu? You ada? Tak ada. Okay, never mind. Later you go to Maybank booth, they can explain to you what is that commercial credit card. Okay, next is completely debt free. Tak ada hutang pun salah. For at least director must have something. Credit card, but jangan credit card tu 5k, at least 15k, so we can see your track record repayment ataupun your track record as a director, as a borrower, so that kita ada comfort to give you a loan. Alright. Next is as a guarantor. So be careful if you're a guarantor. Usually boomies become a guarantor for Mara, then defaulter, habis. Alright, please check this. Excessive facility, too many facility with other bank. Please maintain at least 3 banks. Bouncing check, I think this one very understand. Passive, managing your credit profile, and lastly, low debt service ratio. This one I will share how to calculate the service ratio. Okay, I think last one is how we evaluate the financing. This one I give you a tips how to get a financing, how we evaluate. Last one, 5 je. Okay, how we evaluate. I give you tips how to get success in your application. The first one we look into we got 5C. First one is character. Not your character pergi bank pakai pagoda. Hey, sorry, you pakai pagoda, I tak nak bagi you loan. No, Character means that your secrets, your CTOS must be good. Repayment must be prompt. 1 MIA for HP acceptable. 1 MIA for HP acceptable. Credit card acceptable. But your housing loan, whatever personal loan, at least 0. Okay, 0. Okay. And then next C is your capacity dulu. Capacity, your ability to pay. Okay. Third one is collateral. Whether you got collateral or not. But kita ada our clean loans, so I think collateral not an issue anymore. The fourth one is capital. So bila you buka business Sdn Bhd, make sure not 2 ringgit capital. Why? It's your commitment to the business. You as a director, you as a shareholder, you must put some money into your business. Make sure not 2 ringgit. Except for investment holding company, we accept. Alright? Last one is a condition. Okay? Conditions is depends on where is your location located, what is the current situations of the economics. I think Maybank kita ada this specialist in economics. You can engage them. It's just for free. They can just share with you on the situation, current situation of the economics. Alright? So I think that's all. If you need further information, we have our booth behind our product. We got our clean loan, we got our QR Pay, we got online applications for loans. Very fast, 24 hours you can get results. And then what else we have? We have our Jom Pay, we got payroll, a lot of things. Okay, it can help you maintain a good relationship with Maybank. Alright, so thank you for that.
Because of this person, this very, very good friend of mine, Megan, she's sitting there. Say hi, please. Yeah, thank you. And then there was when I took the challenge and then I said, okay, I'm going to come out and start my own business. So, long story short, I did it twice. I failed miserably, and my parents actually came down to help me. My mom was a retired teacher. I do not come from a wealthy family, so I do not have much money to really go big in my business. So she actually helped me to wrap bacang, you know the Chinese triangle bacang, 1,000 pieces just to help me out. Because I kept thinking that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I wanted to be my own boss, and because of this ego and pride that I had in me, that I was thinking I was so great. So then after that, I took a humble pie. I actually went out back to work, and because seeing my mom back then, it actually paid me a lot. So I went back out to work and found this place in Selangor Polo Country Club. And in Selangor Polo Country Club, I was not a chef, I became the operations manager because I could manage, because I'm trained in hotel management, right? So I could manage both restaurant and kitchen together. And I did that, and then I was looking through the books and all that, because there are too few people actually going to the club to eat. So there literally wasn't enough people to actually help move the business. So then I did some calculation from my boss and said, okay, you know what, this is not working out because we are paying 15,000 rental per month. We are talking about back in 2003. So then we made that move. I said, okay. Boss, you know, why don't we move out? And I said, okay lah. Then you go and find a business to buy. Then we move out lah. So I flipped the papers. Then I saw this place. This place going for 88,000. It was called Sampan back then, situated in Taman.
So then I said, boss, this one. Then he said, okay, you go and nego. So nego, ready. Then he got it for 65. So that was it. Case closed. Then little did he realize, he said, okay, now 65,000 I bought in cash, no more money. So then I said, how? What about the renovation and all? Because that restaurant is actually an Asian restaurant, so it's like selling all the Penang food and all. So then I said, how He said, there we got the pool collection, 800 ringgit. Take lah and renovate, buy some paint and chart and everything, you know. Then I said, who? You do lah! So then I thought, okay, I do. For 800 ringgit, buy paint and all that, what about salary? That one, you worry later. So then after that, I said, okay. So I took these two Myanmar boys and me. So we actually painted the entire restaurant and then sent down every single piece of chair. There was 64 pieces of chairs. Unscrew the top, sent down everything, and we repainted all the walls in front of, including the facade. And after that, 21 days later, we opened for business, and then we called it Boat House. So, why Boat House? It was because we opened on the 26th of December 2004, whereby the first tsunami actually hit Malaysia, it hit Penang hard. Okay, so that was why we named it Boat House. And okay, after which we actually did very well, and then in the business and all. But of course, I still maintained as the operations manager. I wasn't a chef. So then after that, a lot of pilferages were going on in the shop. So then my boss said, okay, you know what? Fire the chef. Fire the chef, and then you go and be chef. So, okay. So I was happy, like, you know, at least I could practice back what I was trained for. So I went back to the kitchen and I started cooking stuff and all that. Then I was happy. So not long after that, I think into 1.5 years later, then he said, Yenny, you know, we have got no funds now. Because why? That time my boss was a party animal, so every day take from cash register, go party, zoo, open bottle. Yenny, your birthday, come. Take it. Once I went with him, went to zoo, party, open bottle, that was it. So then after that he said, I'm gonna roll down the shutters, and here's the news. You got two choices. You either go back out into employment, eat the humble pie again, or you take up this challenge. You take up this challenge to run this business, but the condition is you need to find another partner because this is a Sendirian Berhad. So you need 2 directors at least. You cannot be sole proprietor. So then I thought, why you know? So but after that, I found this partner to run this F&B with me. And then so when we first started the first week into business, TNB cut our electricity. Okay. Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you. He told me that there's 16,000 debt to be settled. I thought, wow, this is a steal, you know, because 16,000 is so little money to settle. So then I said, okay. So I went and found this partner. So then this partner came with me and then said, okay, we did the calculation, we did the numbers. Wow, okay, I can make money. So then that was why we actually thought, hey, this is a steal, you know. So then we went ahead now, you know, happily. So that 1 week, TNB cut already. Our electricity, we cannot operate at all. Then after that, what I did, I had 2,500 in, I think, sales, from the cash sales. Then with a checkbook, which my bank account had 0 money. So then after that, I thought, okay, I went to the TNB officer. I said, this is a 2,500. He said, but you're owing 16,000 in TNB bills. Then I said, please take this 2,500, at least reinstate back my electricity, because my intention is to pay you. I just took over this business. So, and then he said, no, you need to settle at least half of it. I said, there's no way I could. I actually got down on my knees and I begged for his leniency, and then I said, I'm gonna write PD checks. As soon as I get the money, I'm gonna straight bank it in, but every month I will pay you, right until the 16,000 is fully paid. So then I was very happy. He said, okay. He said yes. So I went back. Okay, we started operations again. Then 2 days later, our water got cut. Our water supply got cut, and then I thought like, oh shit, you know. Then what can I do? Then we went again, but this time it wasn't so bad because we owed only 800 ringgit. And then we went, we paid, but that 800 ringgit, because when you got no money, every single dollar really counts.
Yes.
And we had 800 ringgit in the bank, but we couldn't draw because it was too late. Bank already closed. They came and cut after bank hours. So then we said, okay, I went to my friends. I said, not Megan lah, because Megan that time lost contact already. So then I went to my friends with this check. I said, could you please give me, I'm going to exchange this check with you, and you give me 800 cash. But no one did that. No one did that. So, so in the end, I had to rely on my business partner to work her magic. She go to her other friends and all that. So we managed to get that 800 ringgit, but we didn't do business for that day. So we paid and then wait for these people to come in and then reinstate back. So going down, everything became more and more smooth until we have creditors coming through the door and say that you all owe us money, you all need to pay this amount, veggie guy, beef guy, fish guy, all the guys, they came and said, asking for money. So then eventually we struck a deal and all that, and then we finally paid them in full. We took 8 months, and the actual amount of owing was close to 100,000. And that night, I mean, like every night, you know, going home to sleep was a nightmare because I couldn't sleep. Then I started praying. I started praying to Jesus Christ. I started praying to Buddha, and then even Allah also I was praying to. I said, please help me. If there's really a God up there, please help me sort this mess out. So within 8 months, we managed to pay off everything. And then eventually, I worked very, very hard at the business, and we really took care, because doing this, like giving food in, food service, it's actually, it's my passion. It's really my passion, because when you see people eating, you see people enjoying, people have a hard day and then say that, oh, I'm so hungry, I just want to be fed. And then when you're able to do that, and you're able to make them satisfied and happy, it makes me happy. I know it's small joy, but then it's the small joy that gives people a lot of pleasure. So I've devoted every single day of my life doing this, and I thank you. I thank God for giving me this opportunity to write my first book called Mythology. That was in year 2014. So that was my passion, my first passion, to write a recipe book, you know. Second passion is to run a restaurant, but I managed to get the restaurant part first, then only the book. So then after the first book, then it was the rice pot, which this rice pot I wrote for her world. This one actually won the best cookbook under women chef category the best in the world. So, yeah, and right after that, 2 years ago, we rebranded from Boathouse to Mythology, hence the name Mythology. So if you ask me to talk about meats and all that, I can do it very, very well. But when you ask me to talk about myself, I'm like really jittery and I'm really scared because I'm not really used to talking about myself like that. So, but I thank you all very much for listening, and I really want to thank all my friends who came to surprise and support me. Kyoko is also a chef, Japanese chef, and then my business partners, Gaho, Ziling, my chef, Shelly Saw, that's my chef. And thank you all so much for listening and lending your ears. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Miss Yenny Law, for that inspiring story.